Okay, this is beginning video number 5, and where we're going to install the zipper in the exterior, do the drop-in lining, and finish with the top stitching around the top of your bag to make the bag finished. So the first thing that we're going to do is get our 14-inch zipper, and from your opening edge you're going to fold that down to a 90-degree angle. I use a little bit of fabric glue to hold this in place. Get a couple of clips. This folds down and clip it so that it holds it in place. You can stitch it if you want to. I usually just use the fabric glue, and I am going to put a little bit on this back side to hold it down too. And the other side. Give that a minute or two to dry a little bit and stick. The other end of the zipper, you can put your, if you want to do that now, you can put your zipper end on. Take that little screw out. You can do this now, or you can do it after you finish your zipper installation. I just kind of like to do it now because that means that I won't accidentally take my zipper pull off when I unzip it to put it inside the exterior of my bag. Sure it's in as far as you can push it, and then put the little screw on to hold it in place. And screw that down as tight as you can. About as tight as it's going to go. Okay, so then you've got your zipper prepared to go inside your bag, and I put a little bit of a line of double-sided tape on both edges of my zipper so that it'll stick to the inside edge of my bag. Don't need to go all the way to the end because you've got a tail that will hang over the edge of your bag, so it doesn't look the best to have a double-sided tape there hanging out. Sometimes you have to kind of pull that back and remove a little bit of the excess of it. So now I've got this ready to go inside my bag, and I have taken my bag and folded down a 1/2 inch all the way around so that it will have a finished edge whenever I put it into, put the zipper in and start the process of joining the lining to the bag. Now I'm going to take this zipper, take off the bottom edge of the double-sided tape, open it up, and then I'm going to take the edge of my zipper. I'm going to put this in here so it's a little easier to work with. And I'm going over here to the gusset seam that joins to the front, and I'm going to place that zipper right like that, with the teeth just going inside the gusset edge and about 1/8 of an inch above my fabric line. And I'm going to go along this exterior and stick that down the same distance away from those teeth all the way over to the other side. You don't want to stretch it or pull it, you'll have a wavy zipper. Just let it lay down there like it's naturally supposed to be there. Make sure you get as close to this edge of your teeth, the same distance all the way across. And when you get to the other seam at the ending edge, you're going to just stop right there with your zipper and begin on the other side, on the back side, doing the same thing on the back side, starting with the opening edge. Make sure your zipper isn't twisted or it won't zip properly. Take your double-sided tape off. And begin to stick it down the same way that you did on the front side. Beginning with your teeth just inside that seam and the same distance away from the edge of your fabric to your teeth as you did on the front side. And you'll stick that down just like you did all the way across to the other edge. And again, you're going to stop when you get to that edge, that other side of your gusset. Now, you're going to have a tail that looks like this. And it's going to come out over your edge like that. And you'll want to turn that around, flip it so that it's going to zip properly whenever you get the lining portion put inside your bag. So it's going to be like this. It'll look like that. Now you've got this all the way around, stuck down. Same distance from your zipper teeth as you can get all the way around your bag. And it should look like that. Your tail is hanging over the edge. Then we're going to get the lining and drop it into the exterior of your bag. Now remember, we put double-sided tape around the lining, but before we remove it, we want to make sure the lining fits down into the bag the way it should. So let's give it a try. You want to make sure that your zipper pocket is on the back side of your bag and your slip pockets are on the front side. Position your lining down inside. It's got a thread hanging that I need to clip off while it's easy to get to. Okay. Now, what you're going to want to do is match up these sides so that whenever you take your double-sided tape off, it's going to be in the proper position to fit nicely inside your exterior. So you're going to want those gusset seams to line up. Make sure that your bag is going to fit nicely in there, your lining, so that there's no big gaps of excess that you're going to have to deal with. And so once you get that in there, and you know that it's going to be the right size and it's going to stick down properly, just a minute, I've got to get my light fixed here on my video. Something is wrong. There we go. Okay, so now we can remove the double-sided tape. And begin sticking it to the inside, to your zipper. And again, you want to make sure that you've got the same distance between the edge of your lining and your zipper teeth. So that whenever you do your top stitching to join the two together, your zipper will open and close properly, and the lining will be caught in your top stitching. Because you can be working from either the top side down where you can't see where you're stitching on the bottom side, or if you turn your bag wrong side out so you can see on your top side, then, or on your lining, then you're not going to be able to see where you're stitching on the top side. So make sure that you get that aligned the same distance from the teeth as you did on the exterior of your bag. This is probably, along with putting that gusset in, is probably the most stressful part of the bag making experience, because this is your final top stitching to join the two together, your lining and your exterior. So it is a little bit stressful, but if you go slow and take your time, you can get it done. And it'll look nice and you'll be happy with it. Okay, now if you're happy with that, then your next step is to go to the sewing machine and make that top stitch that's going to join your exterior with your lining, and put your zipper in at the same time. It all looks like it's where it's supposed to be, so that's what I'm going to do next. I'll flip you around here where you can see the sewing machine. I try to check every now and then. Since I have a cylinder arm, I can peek under there and see, and to make sure that I'm catching that lining in my top stitching. So I try to watch that. And there are times when you need a hump jumper to get up on your seam, your edge there. So I use a little piece of leather that's been folded in half and just stick it under there. Make that transition up on onto my seam area. Okay. Make sure your tail is out of the way on your zipper. I'll fold that flap back as I get towards the back, so it's out of the way. And I pull my threads to the back. I don't back stitch on my top stitching, so I'm going to pull this one back out of the way a little bit. And when you get to the end, then you pull the other threads back to the back side as well. And tie them all off, and then you bury them in the seam allowance. So here we are. It looks pretty good. Looks like it's top stitched pretty evenly all the way around, so that's good. I don't like to have to take that final top stitching out. So let's flip you around here, and we'll tie those off and bury them. And I use a big, large darning needle for this. I put all of these ends in the eye and feed them through at the same time if I can. Let's see where my little snips went. Usually means that I have to use some pliers to help me get that accomplished. Just kind of comes out neater that way. Pull that through tightly. And then trim it off so they're secured inside that seam allowance. Okay. There we are. And this part of the bag making process is finished. Now the next steps that we are going to do, and the last video will be on the strap construction and attaching it to the finished bag. So see you in a little bit.